Welcome to a Simpsons video, or Video to Simpsons as I call it. Previous Simpsons videos are linked in the card above and the description below. However, this video reviews the Simpsons 8th season's 23rd episode, Homer's Enemy, in which new, determined, perpetually unfortunate power plant employee Grimey,
Frank Grimes.
Oh yeah, sorry Grimey, becomes increasingly infuriated by an oblivious Homer's idiocy and success. The episode's humour amalgamates discreet verbal wit, controlled absurdity, and sinister irony, allowing supporting characters to offer entertaining and purposeful appearances, weaponizing these staples in a patiently intensify a narrative wherein the dynamic between Homer and Grimes introduces a complex layer of drama. For example, Grimey,
Frank Grimes.
Oh yeah, sorry Grimey, has suffered enormously. For one thing, this video keeps giving him a nickname he finds irritating, and many of his frustrations, such as Homer being dangerously underqualified, are understandable from a realistic vantage point. A factor amplified by Hank Azaria's convincing performance in a role to which he was so committed that he undertook plastic surgery to become a yellow cartoon character, which did restrict his career opportunities. However, Homer's outlandish ignorance of his own objectionable behaviour means both characters remain somewhat sympathetic, with viewers being encouraged to independently decide which perspective is most valid. Interestingly, Homer's evolving characterization holds influence over this episode's message, particularly in relation to the responses of Grimey. Sorry, Frank Grimes.
I'm Homer Simpson!
Oh, changed your mind now, have you? How convenient. I've invited Thomas Austin to further explain this notion over a lobster dinner. So take it away, Tom.
Hello, Connor's friend Tom here. Just thought I would drop in to say a couple of words about why Grimes works really well as a character in terms of how Homer progresses from season 8 to the modern season 30 onwards. I'm not really going off a script for this bit, but who needs a script because I'm Homer Simpson? Grimes works as an antagonist because Homer does everything in his power to be his friend. He'll take an interest in his pencils with his name on it. He will admire the fact that he lives below a bowling alley and above another bowling alley, which is Homer's absolute paradise. But the thing is, Grimes doesn't take to this. A good comparison between Grimes and another character is Superintendent Chalmers. Chalmers is aware of the stupidity of everybody in Springfield but rolls his eyes at it. Grimes has to deal with it. He cannot walk away from it. But the thing is, like I said, he works as an antagonist because Homer is just so likable. The problem is, as The Simpsons progresses into its later seasons, Homer becomes increasingly more unlikable. In the earlier seasons, he will lose his temper, but he cares about his family. He isn't very bright, but he can at least, read and assess situations, and he will do his best to prevail in the end. Modern Homer is an absolute arsehole to everybody around him and completely drags everybody down with him. This makes Grimes even more sympathetic when looking back on this episode. This is the point where Simpsons was starting to transition from its earlier period to its later period, and you could start to sympathise with Grimes because Homer's lack of awareness is actually kind of infuriating at times. And you could see that this was a writer commenting on Homer and The Simpsons premise as a whole, and it was very meta, but it becomes even more interesting when you look at how flanderized Homer has become in later seasons, and I think the episode holds up really well in that regard, and Frank Grimes works even more as a character to the point where they brought his son back in a later episode just to comment on how stupid Homer has gotten. It's just an overall masterpiece of an episode, and I'm glad I got to talk about it. Back over to you, Connor. Carry on with your review, I guess.
Thanks, Tom. While often celebrated, more so in recent years, Homer's Enemy invites some divisive reception that even extends to the production team. Creator Matt Groening and writers Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein list it as a favourite episode, while writer Mike Reiss lists it as a least favourite of his, believing it to be tasteless. Homer's Enemy provides considered and thought-provoking deconstructions of the entire series' tone, while maintaining the individual intelligent Simpsons brand playfulness. Even the most potentially tasteless moments serve a narrative purpose, existing in favour of important teachings, both innocuous and blatant, including certain societal injustices, the art of ignoring or tolerating said injustices in order to maintain sanity, avoiding judgment based on limited context, and the most important lesson that any office supply company can have pencils with your names on them made up for you. With its combination of familiar outlandish character-driven humour and its bold organic introduction of dramatic realistic subtext, Homer's Enemy is a profound and perfect Simpsons episode. This review should conclude by honouring Frank Grimes with the respect and attention he was unfairly deprived of. So in that spirit, I would like to Wait a second. I just remembered Homer said something stupid when he was asleep. That's Homer. Grimes, Frank Grimes, the most tragic guy in history. Now he's Homer Simpson. He's touching live electricity. Bzzz.